It's a real pleasure to be back here in Oosterbeek, back here almost to the day when my Uncle Brian came here to make what he said was going to be the lasting tribute to the men that fought at Arnhem. We're going to go today to take you through what they did, because they invented the whole script almost on the hoof. Yes, there was a supposed script, but Brian, being Brian, he was a little bit of a maverick, would say, get some of the guys together. What happened? My friend Robert Voskuil brought me here last year. I came here to the church and I said, right, so where did Brian set up the Lonsdale speech? And I wanted to see the exact spot where Lonsdale gave that speech.
On this position, we must stand or fall and fight to the last round.
The Lonsdale speech was given at the end of the church. The end of the church I've got on this photographic image, pretty much as it was. A little bit more smashed up, debris on the ground. But you need to imagine the pulpit is here, and there's a wing coming off here, and there's a wing coming off there. That end of the church, people sometimes think is at the far end, and sometimes they think it's this bit. But Robert, they're all wrong, aren't they? Where Lonsdale did his speech, it's not here. And I reckon where I've put that picture, if you imagine that this would have been the back wall and he'd have been facing down that way, I reckon that's pretty good. So you need to turn this around. You need to be imagining and looking down there.
This was an ideal area. They could use the whole area because it had all the ruins had to be pulled down anyway, so they could play around with explosives and what they did. But you have to look very carefully if you watch the film. Is that they used this part of the street, but they filmed it from a large number of different angles. So you think you're in a different area, but you are in fact staying in this area. But the cameraman used different camera angles, and in that way it looked as if it were different locations. And if you walk around now in this very quiet and pleasant street, it's very difficult to imagine that the scenes, many fighting scenes of film Tales of Glory were actually filmed here, on this very spot.
We hear today that our wounded are still taken to the dressing station at the Tafelberg, but it's in enemy hands now.
Victor Wark's scrapbook contains the photograph that Robert's got here, and that's a photograph taken by Victor when he was an assistant director when they were setting up the film. And it just shows the carnage and it shows the fire going on outside. So this is a still taken actually off the filming. Now, Victor Wark's diary of when they were filming here was fairly harrowing to read, because he said when the troops, when they shouted cut or stop and filming finished, and the guys had a rest, like film stars today, they didn't go out to the coffee machine outside or have their nose done. They literally used their spare time to go outside and identify the temporary field graves of their mates that they'd buried. And underneath it, you can make out very clearly, he writes, "Not very nice that day."